All right, and welcome to our mini lesson on steps to solving word problems. So there are 5 simple steps to solving word problems, meaning how do you take a word problem and figure out what the equation is, and how do you solve the equation from this word problem. That's what we'll be discussing in today's lesson. So let's take a look at the first problem, the first step. So the first step is to read the problem carefully and draw a picture if necessary. Identify what you're being asked to find. Guys, you're not too old to draw a picture. I, as an adult, draw pictures. If I'm reading a problem and I need to figure out how this actually works, I do a picture because it helps me to visualize and see things clearly. The next thing is choose a variable to represent what you want to know. You can choose any letter you want. A variable is a letter. You could choose X, you could choose Y, you could choose A, you could choose P, whatever makes sense to you. Okay? Then you want to translate the problem into an equation. And then you want to solve the equation, and then you definitely want to check the answer to make sure it makes sense in the context of the problem. So for example, if you're trying to find the length of an object, having a negative number for the answer would not help you because we don't have negative length. So that's a way of checking your answer. So let's take a look at this in action. Let's do some practice problems. So the first problem says the sum of a number and 12 is 30. Determine a number. Well, they said the sum of a number. They forgot but it's a number, right? And then they said sum. So we know sum means addition. And a number, we don't know what the number is, so let's just go ahead and say x. The sum of a number and 12 is 30. So this is actually going to be x plus 12 equals 30. And then we're going to go ahead and solve for x. So we're going to subtract 12 from both sides. And by subtracting 12 from both sides, we are able to get our answer. So subtract 12 from both sides, subtract 12, and we get x equals 18. So that's how you do the first problem. Okay? Let's look at some other problems. Let's skip and let's do number 3. It says the difference. Whenever I see that word difference, I know it's talking about subtraction. The difference of a number and 12 is 30. So the difference of a number and 12, so 12 minus that number, x minus 12 rather. The difference of a number and 12 is 30. So now in this case, I'm going to add 12 to both sides. And I'm going to get x equals 42. So that's the answer for number 3. Okay? Let's look at number 5. It says 3 times a number increased by 4. Well, times means multiply. We don't know what it is, so we're going to use x. So 3 times a number, so 3x, increased by, whenever I see increased by, I know it's added. Increased by 4, the result, so that means there's an equal sign there, is negative 8. Determine that number. So I'm going to have to do the math here. 3x plus 4 equals negative 8. I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides. And I'm going to get 3x equals negative 12. Because negative 8 plus negative 4 is negative 12. Divide both sides by 3 so I could get x by itself. And I get x equals negative 4. So this is kind of how you use those steps to solve a word problem. And these are simple word problems. Now, you're probably wondering, how do I know what sum means? How do I know what difference means? Subtracted, times, increased. How do I know all of that? So there's an actual table that you can create, and I definitely recommend that you save, that will help you with all of that. So let's go back. Word problems translation table. I definitely recommend you take this video, go ahead and pause it, write them down, right? These are all the words that you would see, and when you see these words, you would see what it means, right? So if you see equivalent to, you're talking about equals. If you see twice, you're talking about multiplying by 2, right? It's multiplication. Now, per is one of those tricky ones. You'll see it in multiplication and division. It depends on how it's used. So, for example, if someone says, I make $3 per hour, right? It would actually be 3 times H, right? If you're trying to figure out how much money will this person make.